I think I've been, really blessed throughout my playing career, to get to play for a long time. I think that's an asset that I have in my arsenal to really supplement the quarterback room. And then, I was really lucky throughout my playing career to cross paths with a number of great coaches. And for me, as a player, I always knew that this would be the next step. So I was really attacking my playing career with this kind of in the back of my mind of soaking up as much knowledge as I could to weaponize it for now, this new role that I'm in here now. So really starting with Matt and all those coaches in LA that I got to work with, but between playing experience and then, again, just all the things that I was able to learn from the coaches I worked with throughout my playing career, I think that's kind of my biggest asset in terms of bringing that to the QB room.
I'm sure you could take 2 hours with this answer, but what did you learn from Tom Clements last year?
Man, yeah, Tom was a great mentor for me to work with last year. To just be around him in the QB room was awesome. I mean, such a unique thing for him to have his fingerprints on three great quarterbacks in one organization. So to me, Tom was just the picture of stability, being a stable presence in the QB room, even keel at all times. There's a lot of stuff that the quarterback position has to juggle, but he was always a stable presence. And then I think just the focus on the details and the fundamentals, he was a great example of that. And really I just tried to, I was writing notes all the time, just thinking about, when I would get the opportunity to be in that role, but learned a ton from Tom. Like I said, I was really fortunate to be in the QB room with him last year.
Well, Sean, having played the position and then spending last year watching a veteran like Tom, there's that delicate balance on being totally honest with the quarterback about, not attacking the confidence, but showing you got to rethink this, right? What did you learn in that aspect?
Yeah, I think when we opened, really when the players got back, we talked about standards and expectations for our room. And one of the first bullet points there was honest assessment. And that's really what we're giving him, right? And that's what Tom provided for Jordan last year, is an honest assessment, right? Because if we are, avoiding talking about something, or if we're maybe getting stuck on one little thing in the whole grand scheme of things, you just have to provide your honest assessment at all times. So that's really the role of a quarterback coach, and Tom was great with that, right? And Tom was very discerning in terms of, hey, what's a succinct coaching point that can really land for Jordan to help him execute the play as good as possible. At the same time, just being able to pick that spot and make it nice and concise for him where it's digestible and he can really put it into action.
You kind of referenced it there, but Tom did a lot of great things with Jordan. As you kind of step into this role, how do you balance the continuity part of it with also making this role your own now that it is yours?
Sure. I mean, a lot of it, I think, is, it's the same staff, it's the same system. Now I'm stepping into a role that Tom had, so I want to make it familiar to Jordan, but can I sprinkle in some things from my own experience to maybe just, change things up here and there, try to stimulate maybe a couple things with his development. But like I said, we want it to be familiar for Jordan, and really, just getting feedback from Matt, Steno, everybody who's in the QB room in terms of how we can best support Jordan, because ultimately that's what's most important.
What are the things from your own experience that you're bringing into this, the things that you've kind of learned firsthand as a player and upcoming coach? Yeah,
I think it's ownership of our progressions and timing and reading with our feet, and then just the fundamentals of the position. So to me, it really starts with footwork, and that's something that all quarterbacks need to focus on. But I know really when I first was exposed to it was with Matt in LA in 2017, and it was really a kind of foundational moment in my playing career. I got so much better from understanding how the footwork helps your accuracy, it helps your decision making, helps the timing of the play. So that's really kind of the starting point of what really with any quarterback, but Jordan in particular, we really just always want to have that point of emphasis at the forefront of our mind.
Matt told the story of him watching the NFC Championship game, and you called him to talk about how you should approach your interview with the Bears. Can you take us through that from your perspective? Because he clearly didn't want you to take that job. He wanted to do it himself.
Yeah, no, that was, so I knew, I guess it was going into the, 2023 season. That was probably going to be my last year playing. So, I was reaching out to a bunch of people that I was fortunate to cross paths with, Matt being obviously one of them. So we spoke over the summer, and I was getting things ready kind of through our summer break as a player, working on an interview presentation, working on, learning to draw on the computer. I had my own film library that I was kind of working to hit the ground running in this field. So I touched base with Matt, and then when the season ended, I was following up with a bunch of people, and Matt got right back to me, and I was like, hey, I got this interview with the Bears, but I just wanted to circle back and follow up, basically. And so he said, we met over Zoom briefly and just chatted for a little while, and he was like, yeah, go do your interview. And, he let me do the interview, and he's like, but we want to interview you tomorrow, so just make sure you fly here so we have an opportunity to interview as well. So I was really fortunate in that regard, and I went and interviewed with the Bears and told them I was going to interview here as well, and came here, and I felt like it was a great fit, and I was really thankful for the opportunity for Matt. But that's kind of how it came together. So yeah, I was in hotel in Chicago, and the game's going on. I turn the game off because I'm focused on talking with Matt, but then I can we're talking, and it's casual, but I can hear him reacting to what's happening in the game, but I'm just focused on what's in front of me, so I'm hearing it through Matt's eyes.
Your time being around Jordan, what's your assessment of where he needs to take his game to elevate it that next level?
Yeah, well, with Jordan, he's a great talent. He's a great person. He's a great person to work with every day, and he has great habits. So I think when you combine those three things, really the sky's the limit. For him, I think what we're really trying to focus on is just the fundamentals and the footwork. I think, like I kind of spoke before, that will help you be your most consistent accuracy-wise, decision-making-wise, and timing-wise. So that's really our main area of focus with him, but it's a pleasure to work with him and all the quarterbacks we have in the room on a daily basis because of their level of talent, but then kind of the way they attack each day as a teammate and as a quarterback.